Yo, happy Monday. And in this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast, James and we are going to share our thoughts on some of the top performances from the weekend. Stay tuned. Shout out to all the listeners that have made the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast your first listen of the day. I am your host, Rafael Barlowe, along with my brother, James Barlowe. And we're going to share our thoughts on some of the top performances. But before we get into the episode, I want to talk to you about the Locked On newsletter. Check it out, the Locked On newsletter, your favorite Locked On NBA podcast has a newsletter at lockedondaily.com. The newsletter will be delivered to your inbox every single morning. And this episode is brought to you by Robinhood. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of the high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. And the new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. So sign up at robinhoodgold.com. And if you are not subscribed to the Locked On NBA Big Boy YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, share, comment, click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop an episode, because we are your daily source for NBA draft content. All right, James, interesting weekend of college hoops. There were some good performances. I feel like this was like the first Saturday of like good college games. Due to college football, a lot of the games have been played on Friday. So good to get back to the weekend schedule. But I watched quite a bit of the games. It was some games that came down to like fantastic finishes. I saw both of them in real time, the Illinois and Tennessee game.
Yes.
Coast to coast finish. And then Dylan Harper had the big clutch shot against Seton Hall. If you follow both of us on Twitter, we were kind of having a play on words of some Lloyd Banks lyrics. Probably went over a couple people's heads, but James tweeted Dylan Harper was nicer than grandmothers. Unless you got a mean grandmother, you are rare. Most grandmothers are very nice people. And James is breaking it down that Dylan Harper is just nice at basketball. And so let's talk about Dylan Harper. Kind of got off to a slow start, was in foul trouble, turned it on in the second half. I mean, he's just a bucket, man. People can't stop him from getting to the rack. But more importantly, he's up to 36% from three right now.
Man, Dylan Harper is nicer than grandmothers. Like you said, slow start, and it's like, and we'll talk about Ace momentarily, but it's like him and Ace, they took turns. The first half, it was Ace carrying the team. Second half, Dylan Harper, he brought it home. If he's making three-pointers, I really don't know how you stop him at this level. Actually, I do know how you stop him. They had, I believe, was it like 7 assists as a team? He's going to start seeing a lot more hard doubles. Just get the ball out of his hands and make those other guys beat you. But he's hard to handle. And like you said, he's shooting the three ball well now, making jumpers off the dribble. He's just cold at basketball, man. I have him down, and it's still early, obviously, but he's shooting 33% on jumpers. Again, those numbers aren't great, but that's about the range you see, like your ball handling guards at this age level. 28% on dribble jumpers, but he's still 71% at the rim. Just very tough, very hard to handle. I don't know what the player from Seton Hall was doing on that last play, but I mean, that's just a big shot. That's a signature moment early in Harper's freshman season to hit that game-winning shot.
He's shooting 45% from three off the catch. So I think that bodes well for his ability to play on or off the ball. There are some people I've talked to that still think he's a combo. I'm like, nah, man, put the ball in his hands. And with the game-winning shot, to me, one of the things that stood out about that play was, one, the poise. It's like the end of the game. He still looks like, yeah, man, I do this. Like it looked very easy for him. He was very calm and collected.
Wasn't rushed
at all. But that's just his game. Like he played at the same pace.
Mm-hmm.
Last second shot, but brought the ball up the court with his right hand. He's a lefty. brought the ball up
Is
the court
he
with
a
his right
real
hand.
lefty?
He
Or is he
shoots
one of these
lefty.
fake lefties? Because I see him shoot a lot of right-handed. Like he finishes well with his right hand. What I mean by fake lefty, like LeBron is a fake lefty. Westbrook is a fake lefty. I think Zion is a fake lefty. Like they're ambidextrous guys. With Westbrook and LeBron, they play right-handed with they left-handed, and I believe like Zion plays left-handed but writes right-handed. So I wonder if Dylan Harper's in that same vein of guys because he's got some good stuff with his right hand and it looks natural. He's not like James Harden is like left-handed, super left-handed, or like I'm going left and I've never seen James Harden shoot a right-hand layup. Ginobili was super left-handed. I think Dylan Harper may be like the fake lefty. Not like you, Ralph. You are super left-handed, like no right hand in sight.
Yeah, because all lefties can get back left. All lefties can get back left. You force a lefty to his right, it's you just know how to get back left. I never thought about that as him a fake lefty, but I do think there are a lot of players in their early developmental years that they're working on their left more than their right, but he shoots left-handed. So, I mean, I've seen guys that shoot right-handed but are more comfortable going left. But I thought it was a statement game for him. I've said it for the past maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I think he has a really legitimate shot at being the number one pick in the 2025 NBA draft. I don't think that you can just hand it to Cooper right now, right away. I think that Harper just has a level of, I don't know how to describe it, just a level of poise and patience and calm that you can't rattle him. You can't rattle him. You can pick him up full court, try to speed him up. He's still playing at his own pace. You put a big man on him, he's going to get by him. You put a small on him, he's going to either get by him or run through him. And just the way that he finishes 70%, and he's trying to get to the money, you know exactly what he wants to do. And he's still finishing at 70%. And that is without NBA floor spacing. I think that it's cliche to say, but to me, even though I had him at number 3 on my big board coming into the season, he's still been somewhat of a revelation and a surprise to me at how easy. It's like 23, 4, and 4.
And they have, I mean, no disrespect to Rutgers, but like it's him and his ace. Like those are the two guys on the Skyline. I know they're like 6 and 4,
7
I
and 4.
believe 7 and 4 now. But I mean, we had talked about earlier. Do we think that they can make it to the tournament? I mean, again, it may take 500 basketballs to get into the tournament, but like if those two guys are going, and
500 basketball in conference play.
Yes. If those two guys are going, they're hard to beat. They're gonna put up a fight. So
yeah, Dylan Harper, 6'6", 215-pound, in my opinion, point guard from Rutgers, has a really, really good shot at being the number one pick in the NBA draft. All right, up next, we're going to talk about his teammate, Ace Bailey, who may have had his most complete, if not his most complete, but one of his best performances outside of going 1 of 8 from the free throw line. And then we are going to talk about Jeremiah Fears. I owe James an apology, and I'm going to give him a public apology about Jeremiah Fears. All right, before we get into the second segment, let's talk about Robinhood, because with Robinhood Gold, you do not need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks that are usually reserved for the high society. Now, a resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of the high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. We all know that investing is a risk. Rates may change, and gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And Christmas is a very, very, very important holiday. And I want to know, for you, the listener, how do you stay cozy during the winter months? For some, wrapping up in a blanket with a mug of hot chocolate or watching a movie with family is the best way to spend not only just Christmas or winter break, but the month of December, especially if you live in a area where it's a little cold around this time of year. And therapy is also a good way for you to bring some comfort that never goes away, even when the season changes. And if you are thinking of starting therapy, I suggest give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online. It is designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire, and you can get matched with a licensed therapist. And you can switch therapists at any time, and it is for no additional charge. So find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnba today, and you can get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/lockedonnba. All right, second segment. Let's talk about Ace Bailey. I'm trying to find the words to describe Ace's performance. Well, I start off with this. He went to the rack. The big knock on Ace Bailey is he doesn't get to the cup, settles for tough contested shots. All of those critiques or criticisms or points are very valid. But I felt like in this game, he made a point of getting to the rim, had some pretty good finishes at the rim, got to the foul line 8 times, but he was 1 of 8 from the foul line. I don't know how that happens for such a good shooter, but he finished with 21 points on 9 of 15 shooting, made 2 of 3 from deep, grabbed 7 rebounds, and that's coming off the heels of a game against Penn State where he had 15 rebounds. So I remember like one of the first or second games of the year, the anti-Ace crowd on social media was pointing about his lack of rebounds. He's averaging 7 rebounds per game. But what were your thoughts on his performance and the 8 foul attempts?
The 8 foul attempts were good. Him going 1 for 8 is crazy.
Yes.
And I don't know. I don't want to say it's a concern, but it might be a concern. I don't know. Rafi's shooting 61% from the free throw line on the season on 3 attempts, almost
He's
4
made
attempts.
4 of his last 13 foul shots. Before that, he was fine. Before that, I mean, I want to say he was in the 80s, but I mean, you go 1 for 8. But if you go 1 for 8 in the game and you've only played 11 games, it's definitely going to kill.
Yeah, that's true. You know, I don't. I guess some of the commenters, listeners, they probably consider me part of the anti-Ace crowd, and I'm not anti-Ace. I just feel like I'm realistic. But he had a move. He drove off a screen and roll. I think it was a handoff. Maybe it was a handoff or a pick and roll. He went right, and he had a Euro step finish. That was the best move I've ever seen Ace Bailey make. Again, he's going to hit you with about 3 or 4 of those tough mid-range jumpers that he's known for, signature shots. But like it looks like, I don't know if somebody's in his head or he's finally figuring it out, but he is going to the basket, and that is very encouraging. And that, along with the jump shot, again, he's a very good shooter. I think he's almost at like 47% on jumpers this season. And you take into account like half of these jumpers are bad shots, to be honest with you. Like, he can shoot, and he should definitely shoot more threes. I think they were listening to you, Ralph. They ran a Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey pick and roll, and he ball faked it into a 3. Couldn't shoot a regular 3.
Pick and pop.
Excuse me. He couldn't shoot a regular 3. He had to fake the pass to shoot it. They needed a dribble, off a dribble 3 in that corner in the second half. But he's interesting, man. Like, again, and everybody knows the talent is there. It's a matter of, does he get rid of some of his bad habits? And I'm going to give him his props because he's already trying to get to the basket more. I don't expect him to be a playmaker anytime soon because that's just not who he is. and some people feel a certain way about that. But if he could change his shot selection again, I'm not opposed to mid-range jumpers, but it's got to be a variety of mid-range, or just jumpers in general. And if he figures that out, I think he will be really good. It's just a matter of how good will he be.
I love his talent. I really do.
Yeah, of course. No, it's never about his talent. He's extremely talented.
But you know what I would love to do? I would love to be like in charge of his player development, whether it's like from the agency side or a team side. And you know what I would have him do all summer? Look, we working out. Yeah, I know it's risky because you don't want anybody to get injured during the pre-draft process. But if I were in charge of his development, all pre-draft, as soon as the season is over, we're playing pickup basketball and he's playing point guard. Not saying that's going to be his position down the line, but it's going to force him to handle the ball. And I'm going to tell him, like, all right, I need you to play a lot with the ball in your hands, but you know what? You need to win every game, but you can't score. So it will force him to pass the ball, make plays out of pick and roll. Because I think if he's getting the ball on the catch, he's going to play how he knows how to play. Face up, jab, 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 stare down, tough contested shot. But if he has the ball in his hands, again, I'm not saying that this is going to be his position long term, but I think in order for him to improve as a ball handler and a passer, I think he needs real live reps. And that's what I would do. Pass, left hand pass, make plays out of pick and roll. Even for him, making plays out of ball screens, just have a threat, and he has the ability to stop and pop. If he can be a guy that can stop and pop and make pull-up jumpers out of ball screens, I think he's going to be like a guy that can punish drop coverages in the NBA. But he needs to work on the handle. It needs to pass. He has 5 assists this year and like 22 or 23 turnovers, depending on which site you are looking at for his stats. Either way. But he needs to improve as a playmaker and as a ball handler. And that would be my suggestion on how to do it, because yes, you can work on your handle by doing drills and ball handling drills, but I think for him, he needs to work on the creativity off the dribble and the passing with live reps. And that would just be my game plan for him.
I like what you said, but I would add to it that I wouldn't say he can't score. I would say if he is going to score, they have to be catch and shoot threes, because he's too good of a shooter not to be taking 5, 6 threes a game.
And or maybe hezzy threes.
No, I want him shooting catch and shoot threes, like on the catch. Too many times I think he holds the ball to let the defense, guard him. Or you 6'10" with a burner, like take 2 steps behind the line. Yeah. Catch and shoot. You don't have to hover. You don't got a baby line, bro. Like, you have free reign and free control to take any shot. Clearly, you might as well take a couple steps behind the line and shoot the 3. I mean, you're going to have to shoot a deep 3 anyway when you go to the league next year. But if he just added 4 more catch and shoots with the way that he shoots, man, I mean, he's got a lot of talent. It's just a matter of what is he willing to – what habits are he willing to break?
It's crazy because he's shooting 4 threes a game, and most people will tell you that's not enough. But you look at Trey Johnson, and I think they're the 2 most gifted, like, shot makers, like wing shot makers in this class. And Trey is shooting about 7 threes a game, but he's also shooting 43%. So I would like to see Ace's volume get up. But again, I just think like he needs to be able to do more off the dribble. And I've seen NBA players like play pickup basketball and specifically work on one thing. Like, I remember hearing a story like Kevin Garnett would go play pickup basketball with some college in California, and all he would do was rebound and work on outlet passes. Like, it was just very specific to what he wanted to work on that particular summer. And for Ace, may not be his role in the NBA, but if he can become a better ball handler and at least a threat to get in the paint, draw 2 defenders, and make the right play, it's going to make him more dynamic as opposed to him just being an isolation scorer. All right, up next, we're going to talk about FanDuel. And FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. You can get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, and it is all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play and so much more. And it is on the same page where you place your bets. So join FanDuel.com or visit FanDuel.com and join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, last segment. Let's get right into Jeremiah Fears. I mean, I owe you an apology, but I don't owe you an apology. I was
backtracked already, man.
This is why I say I owe you an apology. I gave you a hard time because you came out with your mock after the season has started. You know, like I came out with mine before the season started. I feel like you took the easy way out. Waiting till guys got some games under their belt. Again, this is all in fun. And you had him at what, number 6 or 7?
I had him at 7.
You had him at 7. And so I think I said, I don't know if I can get with him that high, but I like him. All right. So I see the vision. I see what you saw.
You see it.
I see it. I thought
what you see, Rob. Tell everybody what you see, man.
All right. So originally, when I first started watching him, I was impressed by the size and the speed. Like I knew he can get in the paint. It was consistent, but I felt like he was still adjusting to college basketball, high turnovers, a little raw. But I mean, I've said it. I've been on record of saying that I think he could be like Bub Carrington, a guy that comes out of nowhere. And, he was young like Bub and ends up being a lottery pick at the end of the year. I think as of today, you can't help but take him in the lottery because not only does he have speed to the point where he's blowing by you, doesn't need a screen. He can blow by a guard. But now the pace is looking better. He's starting to figure it out. He had a play that he had a pull-up jumper off the spin, drove to the lane. Guy went to beat him to the spot, spun off of him, took the bump, pull-up jumper, step back threes. But the play that I knew he had some dog in him, right? I knew that he had a little – I don't even know how to describe it without using the word dog, but it's a little something, a little edge to him, I guess. Game was pretty much over. One of the last possessions of the game. Maybe it's because it is a, Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State rivalry, which you're wearing the OSU shirt.
That's an accident, man.
So he gets a man on him on a switch, and he hit homie with 7 crossovers. It was very James Harden, like 7 crossovers, lean, and I'm gone. Finally got the man to get his body weight shifted one way, took off the other way. But I think that he is what you're looking for in a point guard in today's NBA. So blow by speed, no screen needed. I think that the pull-up jumper, the floater is going to be there. The creativity. But nah, man, that dude actually had a scout tell me, he's like, I saw him get into the paint, 2 feet in the paint, 7 possessions in a row. Right. So I apologize for raising an eyebrow when you told me that you had him at.
Just trust me, man. Listen, I'm not going to get too far in the fears. I tweeted out he was a top 5 pick. He is a top 5 pick. Like, all the boxes you want. And I know he turns rock over like crazy, but he can pass, if that makes sense. Like, he throws left-hand passes. Even his turnovers, those can be fixed, or you can live with them because, like you said, man, Nobody can stay in front of him. Like, guards are out there. I don't know if it was Oklahoma State's game plan, but they were willingly switching. And I think some of that was out of just pure fear. Like, yeah, bigs were switching on him, and he was, like you said, that last play, I think it was like 26 seconds left, and he hit my man with a bop, 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 and flew by him.
But I watched it twice. He hit him with 7 of them things.
Hey, and it wasn't a slow big. It was like a fake college big, like a 6'7", 6'8" dude that's athletic.
Yeah, like Dylan Brooks build type dude.
Yeah. But I don't know if that was the game plan, Rob, but I think they might have been, afraid. And it was like, yo, man, you switch, because that first step is lethal. Handles, he's got step backs. He got the big step backs. Like, that's a top 5 pick, man. I mean, I'm just glad you see the bigger picture, man.
Yeah, I'm coming out with my big board 2.0. And here's the struggle. Like, all right, when I compare like the point guards or lead guards, so whether it's Jaeger Dimon from BYU or Kasparas Jakucionis from Illinois, fears when I have to think about it, like, all right, who's better now, but who is going to be better in the NBA? And the one thing that he has is the blow-by speed. Now, Jakucionis and Dimon are better passers, better playmakers, bigger, but with that type of speed, I don't know if he needs to be a dynamic playmaker. He really just needs to be able to drive and kick, make a couple pocket passes here and there, locate the corner man, just because of the rim pressure that he provides. I mean,
he finishes at the rim. He finishes at the rim at a high level. Yo, he just turned 18. He's shooting 64% at the rim.
Yeah.
That's high level, Rob.
All right, let's talk about what is probably the most impressive statistical performance of the weekend was Johni Broome. 21 points, 20 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks, and a steal. Was 9 of 18 from the floor as Auburn, just smacked the mess out of Ohio State, 91 to 53.
That's twice Ohio State has got the brakes beat off of him, man. He can play. I thought he was going to come out last year. Surprised he came back to school. But, you're going to definitely catch eyes with that performance. He stretches the floor. He can pass. He plays defense. Like, Broome is good.
Young Carlos Boozer, man. Gotta check the lineage, man. The body type is similar.
Left-handed. Hair similar.
Hey, man. Carlos, man. Might be your cousin, something. He might win Player of the Year. He's averaging basically 20 and 13 and 4 assists along with like 3 blocks per game.
Yeah, he's got Player of the Year locked up.
Yeah, just based off the numbers, you'll be hard pressed to find a more impressive player than Johni Broome this year. But anyway, let's switch to Liam McNeeley. I haven't been the biggest Liam McNeeley fan. I had him pretty high on my big board coming into the season. I don't remember exactly where I had him. I can't say I was very confident in where I had him ranked. I get the positional size, the shooting.
Hold on. What position is he, Ralph?
I thought coming into the year he was like your 3-4, but to me, I just think, and we've talked about this offline, I just think he's a 4 and D.
I think he's a 4. I
so
think he's a 4D, yeah.
It's a
4 position, not 4-point play. If anybody was,
like a 4-man that, or maybe it's a new position. It's a new position we're gonna make up on the spot. It's called 4 and 3. You're a 4-man and you shoot threes. He's a 4 and 3. Even though he can do a little bit more with the ball, he can put the ball on the floor in some matchups. Good connective passer.
He's a very good connective passer. Sorry to interrupt, but I think that might be his best attribute right now, is that he's a very good passer and he's very competitive and he does rebound well. I think he's shooting like 34% from 3, which is not good for somebody that's supposed to be billed as a shooter, but I think he'll ultimately be a good shooter at the next level.
Yep.
I had him in the 20s. I want to say. I think that's about. I don't think he goes past 20 because again, he is like 6'8" and competitive, and he does some good things. But I get what you're saying. I wanted to talk about him because that was a big game for UConn. They caught Gonzaga at home. They had lost some games against good teams, and he played well. The film wasn't pretty, but he played well. You know what I'm saying? Like he got to the foul line. He did make some threes, but like he left the imprint on the game. So I wanted to talk about him in that way.
Yeah, I mean, he was 10 of 12 from the line. 10 of 12 means you're putting a lot of pressure on the rim. Like you said, he rebounds. He had 26 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, was just 2 of 7 from 3, but 7 of 13 overall. We're talking about Liam McNeeley. ESPN has him listed as 6'7", 210. I actually thought he was bigger than that.
I think he is bigger than that.
I always thought
he's
6'8".
Bigger than 210.
Yeah, I think that's totally wrong. Yeah, 6'7", 210 might have been his junior year measurements because he looks like he's 220, maybe 225. But that was his best game. He's averaging 13 points, 6 rebounds. He pretty much carried that. I shouldn't say pretty much. He carried them to that win. Big win for UConn. And it was after a game against Texas when I really was like, yeah, I don't know about the hype about him. He played 35 minutes against Texas, only took 4 shots. He took some buckets on the head from Trey Johnson, who they've been playing against each other for a long time. But I just thought, like, he rebounded the ball, but I'm like, hey, man, if you are projected first-round pick, you can't be taking 4 shots in your home state in a matchup against somewhat of a rival. But he bounced back against the Zags and had 26. So I'm still not as high on him as others. I think he's a first-round pick. I know some people were saying that they think he's coming into the season. They thought he was like the safest player in this draft or one of the safer ones. But I think that was just based off of they assumed that he was going to be really efficient from 3. All right, wrapping up, Kasparas Jakucionis. I feel like I talked about him every single episode last week.
He played good. He turns the ball over a lot, man. I think that I think he is safe. I think he does a lot of things well. I think his free throw rate is very impressive. I don't know, man. Something I'm missing. I like Fears more than Jakucionis. Let's just put it like that. But I do like Jakucionis. I just like Fears more.
Yeah, Kasparas Jakucionis, 6'6" point guard from Illinois via Lithuania. He's averaging 16 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. I've talked about him as a guy that I think is going to be a triple-double threat, or at least every night. I think he's going to put up one at some point in the season. His splits are crazy, 47% from the floor, 42% from 3, shooting 84% from the foul line, but getting to the line 5 times a game. The numbers tell us they paint a picture.
They do.
They paint a picture. I still have some concerns. I'm like, he picks up his dribble a lot, turns the ball over.
Sometimes he struggles to get by guys.
But it's weird because
some of those free throws, he's falling forward, and he gets fouled on at least 2 threes a game. And I'm like, how do you guys do that? The film is out. He's a forward jumper. Start running into his stomach, man. He's not even flopping either. That's the crazy thing. Like, they're legit fouling him.
Yeah, like I said, it's weird to see a guy that doesn't have like blow by speed, but is able to get guys in foul trouble. He's getting to the line a lot. Man, I have him inside my top 10. I just don't know if he is going to be better than a guy like Jeremiah Fears or LeBaron Philon or even like Josan Sandin. I just don't know if he's going to be better than them long term. I think he's a better player right now. I get why people like him. I'm just going with my gut feeling, and
I think
I just have some concerns about if it's going to translate, I actually spoke to an NBA scout about him, and he loved him. And I'm going to read this quote, and I'm going to end on this. And this is what the scout said. He says, I don't like making comparisons, but he's got some Luka in his game.
Yes,
he says he's got some ice in his veins. And this is that quote. He'll turn the ball over 4 times in a row, and he'll come down and make the same pass. Even if he's cold, he's still confident. He's confident. He rebounds. He starts to break, and he's unbelievable on ball screens. I think that's a very, very, very fair assessment. And, it's tough comparing somebody to Luka, but I do get what he's saying as far as a player that is not afraid to fail, not afraid to make mistakes. A guy that just plays with confidence throughout. But this same scout also said he really likes Trey Johnson, because this is a quote. He says he's a bucket getter. He's not afraid to fail. He's not afraid to go 2 for 20, and he's not the type of kid that would go 1 for 4. So this particular scout really values confidence in guys being aggressive no matter the type of game they're having.
I respect it.
Yeah, I respect it too. Right, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast. Once again, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Check out the Locked On newsletter at lockedondaily.com. Also, we're going to have a lot of episodes this week. We're going to talk about the NBA rookies. We haven't done that in a while. Kristen Peak will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Leaf Tulane and Richard Stamen will also add their inputs or their thoughts on this draft class. Once again, happy Monday. We are out of here.